Welcome back, everybody, to Two in the Zone. You have myself, AC, and the one, the only, the GOAT, Dead Press Picks right there in Philly. All his teams are getting ready to the playoffs, so that's exciting. But thank you so much for jumping back on Two in the Zone. We do this every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Today's a big show. We have a lot of NBA games and 4 big Sweet 16 games tonight. But let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors. 7 Stack Sports right there on the screen at 7 Stack Sports, the best book on Twitter. Not even close. They do same day payouts if you're using cryptocurrency, reduced juice lines. So I've been getting questions. Where are you getting minus 105? Where are you getting minus 105? Well, 7 Stacks, man. 7 Stacks has 105. We've been working with them for basically a year now. We're close to 100 episodes. Our best bets record is at 75% hit rate. So let's continue going. Dead, how are you, my guy?
I'm good, bro. I'm trying to figure out how to share this broadcast right now on the Twitter link, so I'm trying to blast it out. But other than that, I'm good. Just having me with technology.
Yeah, you and technology, man. You're the only guy I know under 25 that doesn't know how to use his phone. But all right, let me go ahead and get into last night's slate real quick in the NBA. Just go through it very fast. So yesterday there were a lot of games, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 games. I had action on 3 of them. I ended up 1-2. I'll give a quick recap of my games. I went the Pistons over as well as Pistons +5. That split. The over did not hit. The over missed by 3 or 4 points. That was kind of disappointing. And the other one I had, I thought it was a sharp play, but dude, Dead, props to the Boston Celtics, man. They keep rolling. They beat Utah yesterday by 28 points. I was on the Jazz, and that was not even a game. Thoughts on the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, they've been unreal lately, man. I mean, I would have leaned with you there with Utah. I ended up laying off of that game entirely. But as I've mentioned before, I think they're one of the more dangerous teams. Obviously, now they've skyrocketed up the standings, so they're going to be a tough out for whoever gets them in the first round.
All right, we have a Knicks Hornets. Hornets, both of these teams were actually coming off losses. I thought the Hornets were going to take care of business at home. It was a steaming line, it ended around 8.5, 9 points. But the Knicks came into Charlotte and beat their asses 121-106. I've said this many times in the past, especially this season, but the New York Knicks without Julius Randle, they're just better. No Julius again last night, and they won by 15 points. Any thoughts on the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean that's another good win. For New York. Obviously, they would need a miracle at this point to get into the postseason, but it's still technically they could still make something happen. So good to see them still playing hard, but a bad loss for the Hornets. You got to take care of business at home against New York.
Yeah, we still have a few more big games to get into last night. This one had a really big heated argument on the bench. Warriors, Miami Heat. Warriors had Clay out, Steph out, Draymond out. They went into Miami as a 10-point underdog and won by 14 points. I don't know if you saw this video, but Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, Haslam, they were all getting into it.
Right.
Are the Heat in trouble? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's not something you want to see, obviously, and surrounding Butler, that's kind of been his mo, right? He's kind of been the answer to a lot of the teams that he's been with. It looked like Miami that has not been an issue, but I think people did overreact a little. It's sports, right? It's going to happen all the time. That those things happen a lot more, I think, than people think. Maybe it's just not always on a bench in front of people.
Yeah, true. It was just it was a funny video because you can see,
funny,
you can see Coach Spoelstra just sitting in his chair, and he was like, "You want me to fight you? Like, what are you talking about?"
Right. Yeah. I mean,
but that was just Jimmy Butler. That's just how he communicates, right? I don't think he meant anything bad from it. I personally am not worried about Miami. I think it just shows them that they really want it. They were probably really frustrated last night losing to a Warriors team that had 3 of their starters out. But yeah, it's just a regular season game. This one was interesting. This was a Grizzlies screamer. You and I talked about this offline. Nets, Grizzlies. The Nets were like 1-point favorites going into Memphis without Ja Morant. And Memphis dropped 132 points on Brooklyn. Dude, I'm telling you, Memphis is the real deal. What do you think?
It was pretty crazy. I finally figured out how to share it. It was a pretty crazy game there for sure. So what I ended up doing last night, I had a 4-2 overall NBA night, but one of the losses was the Nets, and that's very untypical of me to lock in a play where like 99.9% of the public are on. I just couldn't get there with it because I thought the Nets were turning a corner. Right, they had the Kyrie news announced yesterday, and they actually led going into the fourth quarter. So they were getting smoked in the first half, but NBA first halves really don't mean much, as we know. So they got on their run, but the Grizzlies, man, I mean, they are such a tough team. Like mentally, they're young. I think it's kind of that team that really they just don't know what they don't react because they're so young. The moment isn't too big for them, almost because they don't realize what moment they're in. But I mean, they're going to be fun to watch in the postseason. I hope they make noise. I hate to be that person that's like, I still have no belief in them, but I would be shocked if they made a Western Conference final, an NBA final. I'd be really, really surprised. I just don't think they're there yet. But I mean, for years to come, this team is unbelievable. And I think Desmond Bane, as you continue to watch him, realize how much of a steal he wasn't. He wasn't someone who came out of nowhere, right? At TCU, he played really quality basketball. So they're a scary team, and the good thing for them is they're young, so they have a bright future.
I think the whole thing about Memphis, and I agree with you, they're super young, their potential is high, the ceiling's high, but they're actually really good too. Not only are they young and not scared of the moment, but they are one of the best shooting teams in the NBA. And then if you want to grind with them, I mean, they have the athletes and the length to really grind. And really, Dillon Brooks had been hurt for most of the season. Ja Morant, I think that's his 16th or 17th missing game of the year, and they're like 15-2. So like Memphis knows how to play with adversity. So I think Memphis, I know like nobody really talks about them because they're in Memphis and they're young, but I think they do have a legit shot. The front and center, the favorite in the West obviously is the Suns, right? So they came into Minnesota yesterday. I thought it was a Minnesota read. Thankfully, I did not play it. But the Suns just continue winning without Chris Paul. This time on the road, 125-116. Dead. Can anybody beat the Suns in a 7-game series?
That was my other loss last night. So it was the Wolves too, and they led, I believe, by 13.5. Again, obviously, first halves don't mean a ton, but they just couldn't, get in much of a flow in the second half. Devin Booker kind of, put his imprint on the game. No, I don't think anyone's going to beat the Suns in the West. Like I said, the only team I give a chance to do it is, I think, Golden State could win right. They've been very, very up and down, and they're down right now. Although they had that nice win last night. Maybe that'll kind of flip their season back. And I think Utah has a lot of potential. Issue with Utah is they've really struggled come postseason. But on paper, I mean, they can match up with anyone, right? They have a phenomenal bench. You have the star in Mitchell. You have the best defensive player in the NBA in Gobert. So they're going to have a chance to compete with anyone. But, yeah, I mean, the Suns on paper and what we've seen from them this season, they shouldn't lose to anyone. Again, last night, obviously we know Chris Paul's been out, but even role players, right? Cam Johnson, like they've had other guys out, and they just keep rolling and playing with a ton of confidence. But I will be fading the Suns tonight, as we'll get into later.
There you go. But all right, one final game from last night. Your 76ers went into LA. They were a steaming road favorite. I actually liked LA all day. I didn't play them. I was playing basketball myself, so I missed it. But the Sixers ended up winning 126-121. I mean, they didn't cover, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is a nice win for the Sixers on the road in a tough environment. How are you feeling about your Philly Sixers?
Yeah, it was a good win for sure. So I had the Lakers actually last night, but I had them +8. So I had them pre-LeBron news. I think they closed at 10. I still felt confident going into the game. A lot of people are, hedge out or whatever. We know all the time when that star player goes out. I think the original line factored him in as a game time decision, right? Because if LeBron was in, I think it would have been 5 or 6.
And they would not have covered. They would not have covered with LeBron. Yeah,
probably would have lost by 20. But honestly, they're I don't want to say it was the cover was weird. Like they had a lot of breaks go their way late. So it was a good cover, but Philly really outplayed them. I think the score made it look a little closer, but like the game was never really in doubt. Like it was no one ever thought the Lakers were going to come back and win. Nonetheless, good cover, good road win for Philly. They got to heat up before the playoffs. But the Lakers also, they got to heat up, right, to get into a position.
Lakers are done, bro. They're done. All right, guys, before we get into tonight's slate, not only NBA, we'll give you some college basketball picks tonight as well. But we do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, 7Stack Sports. Give them a follow. They are close to 10,000 followers on Twitter, making them probably the biggest Twitter book, on the site. But they deserve it. It's amazing reputation. They pay on the same day. They've been working with us for many, many months, almost a year now. We really stand by them, and they're always good on customer service and making sure people are doing right. So definitely check out their website. They just added a props builder feature, which is really cool. We'll see if we can do a same game parlay feature as well, try to get some FanDuel action. But yeah, definitely check them out. Follow them. If you sign up, we'll give you free VIP plays, myself and Dad today. All right, Dad, let's get into tonight's plays.
All right, let's do it. Yep, shout out to Stacks, best in the game. All right, we have a 4-game slate, AC, so this is kind of similar to the one we did Tuesday. So we'll breeze through this. Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments, any games. If you want to tell us we suck, whatever you want to say, feel free to shoot away in the comments as well. So we have the Cavs and the Raptors kicking us off. This thing, you talk about steaming up, 3.5 this morning. It's up to 5 now in the favor of Toronto, assuming Van Vliet goes, and they're going to have, some other guys. Gary Trent Jr., I'd assume, is back tonight as well. He missed the last game. Cavs, I don't want to say I was right about them buying a little bit of that dip there, AC, but I kind of thought that they might fall. Obviously, they were always playing a little bit over their heads. Now they're a 5-point road dog. They're still really good overall against spread, but this is a significant game tonight because if the Raptors win this, they get to that 6th seed, which is obviously pivotal to stay out of that play-in game by record. I don't know who owns the tiebreaker, so don't quote me, but they're both 41-32 with the Raptors win. What's your thoughts on this? Because it's kind of a playoff atmosphere type of game tonight.
I love the Raptors tonight. They're coming off a loss in Chicago where it was the second night of a back-to-back. Chicago was basically in a must-win situation. Toronto actually hung with them for 2.5 quarters. Then midway through the third, Chicago kind of turned it on. I think now with a couple days rest, now back home, comfortable in their own beds, I think it's a great spot for Toronto, not only to win and cover, but I think they're going to blow out Cleveland. I know Cleveland has kind of been the darling of the season, but missing Jarrett Allen is huge. Like, it's bigger than Sexton. It's bigger than some of the other guys they've missed, Ricky Rubio, guys like that, because he is the anchor of their defense. He is their only all-star player. He was averaging 20 and 10 basically in like 2.5 blocks. So without him in the lineup, there's no rim protection. Everybody's getting easy layups on Cleveland. I think that continues tonight for Toronto. So I like the Raptors tonight.
Yeah, I would lean there as well. I was thinking about locking them in early. I don't like the number now that I'm getting because that's how I am. If I miss a good number, sometimes I just kind of lay off. Now I would actually probably lean with the over here if I had any lean in this game, but nothing official for me there. All right, the Pacers and the Grizzlies will be in action. Both teams on a back-to-back tonight. 12.5-point favorites, though, are Memphis against this depleted Indiana team. What a rough season. We talked about them coming into the year. They looked like last year they were a play-in team. Probably looked like one this year, right, before the season on paper. But it's been a rough go of things for your old coach, Rick Carlisle, and those Pacers. Under 238 AC. You got Rick Carlisle
238. I actually leaned the over in this one. It's an interesting game, to be honest. So Pacers have been terrible. I think they're 3-6 or 3-7 against the spread in the last 9. They've lost 15 out of the last 20 games outright. But one thing, that you need to think about when you look into this game is they actually play Memphis really well. The last 5 games, they're 4-1 against Memphis. The high total suggests that it's obviously going to be a high-scoring game. With the Grizzlies on a second night of a back-to-back, maybe fade them in that second half. I'm going to see if there's a live spot in this game. Nothing for me pre-flop, but if it's like a plus, 19.5 or plus 20 Pacers, I might take it.
Yeah, and I'm assuming too that Morant is back tonight, or is he still out?
He's questionable. He's probably in, to be honest. He's probably gonna play, but not like a full.
Yeah, as bad as the Grizzlies are, and he could be out. I mean, as bad as the Pacers are. But anyway, the play I like in this one, and it's scary, is the Grizzlies team total under because it's 125. Where I mean, that's a massive number.
Yeah,
you're gonna need consistent shooting. And last night was like, I don't know if you saw when they won, but they were like they just won the championship. Like I think that game last night meant so much more to them. The Nets, and it should have. I mean, their Nets are obviously a great team. Knocking them off without Ja, although what's their record now without Ja? Like 15-2.
They have yeah.
Crazy record. So you mentioned too the Pacers have played them well. And they're on a back-to-back. Legs always show up in the second half. It's going to take unbelievable shooting here. Indiana's not a good defensive team. I won't make that argument for a second, but they're good enough, I think. They're still an NBA, right? They still have they should be able to hold.
I don't know how they lost yesterday.
Who? The Pacers? I didn't even watch that.
Yeah, the Pacers ended up losing by a point. I think they were up double digits late in the fourth. Somehow lost 110 to 109 against the Kings, who had no Sabonis, no De'Aaron Fox, basically nobody for the Kings.
They just had that kind of season where nothing's going their way. All right, 2 games to go. Now we got it's a 5-game slate. I missed a game. The Bulls and the Pelicans. This line has moved from Bulls -1, Pelicans 3.5. Obviously, that means some injury implications here that we will have to get into. But now with the new line, right, what is your thoughts on this game tonight? Do you think now it becomes a Pelicans player, or do you still like the value here with Chicago? And the guy out, the big one, obviously, it's DeMar DeRozan. So
at this point, I don't think there's any value left in Pelicans. I think if you were able to get him early at +1, now with the 4.5-point move, that's just way too much movement. I'm not going to chase steam that way. But I do like Zach LaVine props tonight. He hasn't been playing well as of late. A lot of that is like, I think he also has lingering injuries. But this seems like it's going to be a high-scoring game, right? Neither team played much defense, especially with Lonzo. I guess Caruso's back. But either way, I do like Zach LaVine props. If I had to pick a side, it would be the Pelicans. They are playing better as of late. And without DeMar DeRozan, they just don't have a closer for Chicago. So what about you, man? This game's hard for me.
They might struggle to score for me. So I could see a valuable play here on the under just because DeRozan does so much for that offense. I mean, he's obviously having an outstanding season, but it's going to be a layoff for me. If I had any lean, it would be the under. Pelicans have had some guys out of the lineup. Ingram, has been out as well. So got to see how the injuries shake up there. All right, 2 games to go now. Wizards and Bucks, 9-point spread here. I got to tell you, AC, I wrote a whole article about a prop I love. Giannis under 32.5 points, and then he gets ruled out.
Hey, you hit it. You got it right.
That's what I say. I'll count it as a win and a waste of an hour of my life. Well, actually 10 minutes. It didn't actually take an hour, but it sounds better when it says it did. Wizards +9 here tonight. This is a play still, even though without Giannis, I am not touching the Wizards. But I will tell you, I think the under still holds value because at 229, it obviously went down. But Giannis still makes up for. I mean, look, tonight he was projected to get 32 points. Those points are going to have to obviously come from different players. And the Wizards, not an awful defensive team, middle of the pack, but they're one of the slowest paced teams in the NBA. They're not a very efficient offensive team. And if you look at the Wizards roster, AC, you're going to really be looking long to find a pure scorer on that current roster.
Yeah, I mean, Kuzma's out, right? He's been their leading scorer all year. So, and Bradley Beal obviously out for the season. So really it's going to be Kristaps Porzingis. And I don't think you know how I feel about Kristaps. He's not a number 1 option by any means. But with the Bucks, man, like it's not only Giannis, Chris Middleton is out too. So that's 2 of their top 2 scorers. But I'm not going to chase steam here with the Wizards. 2 teams moving in opposite directions. The Wizards are only 2-6 against the spread in their last 8, and the Bucks are opposite end. They're 7-2 against the spread in the last 9. So definitely moving in opposite directions. One's gearing up for the playoffs. One's quietly like getting ready for the playoffs. I think the Bucks still going to be my pick in the East. But I'm gonna lay off here. Maybe like a Bobby Portis prop because I think he's gonna get a ton of run tonight without Middleton and Giannis, and they're gonna need some scoring power. So maybe look into Portis rebounds, Portis points plus rebounds, something like that. But as far as the game or the total, I'm gonna lay off dead.
Yeah, it's another tough one for me. Like I said, as far as the side goes, total I lean under here, but no side really holds much value for me in this game. All right, the Nuggets will take on the Suns, and I don't know if you just saw this, but that number just came off the board for me. So someone's out in this game, but what I saw was -4. Could move in some type of direction. I don't know if you see any updates, but it just went off my books. So if you see,
I didn't know. I'm looking now because it was actually going to be my favorite play of the day. I was going to be on the Nuggets tonight, but let me double check.
Well, I already locked the Nuggets in at
okay. Let's just make that our best bet, man.
I was going to say it's already one of my favorite ones tonight. So you know what I'm hoping for? Devin Booker out. I do not want to see Nikola Jokic out. You know, he never sits.
He never sits. Yeah. I don't see anything.
I don't see anything. It did come off the board for me, but maybe that's something that's just a me issue. I don't know. We'll find out. Obviously, it might stay where it is. It might stay at 4. Assuming it stays at 4, AC, obviously you let the cat out of the bag there. You like the Nuggets, but why do you like the Nuggets tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this is second night of a back-to-back for the Suns. Suns had an very, very impressive win against Minnesota yesterday. Only thing is Minnesota plays 0 defense, so it's easy, even with backup players, to drop 120, 130 on the Timberwolves. Denver plays a little better defense. It's harder to play in Denver with the elevation there, and this is close to a must-win game for Denver, right? Denver, Minnesota, Dallas, they're kind of bunched in for that number 5 and 6 spot. So I think Denver comes out. They're favored for a reason, being the lower ranked team. I think Denver not only covers, wins, but I think they win pretty comfortably. I think Suns take this game as a flat game, kind of like the Hawks yesterday. Right. Yeah. So give me the Nuggets -3.
Yeah, I think it's a great fade spot here. Back to back, you have to play. Denver's a tough place to play to begin with, right? With this how it is, and they've been a very good home team. Suns also, we're kind of just talking about too. They like back to back guys just get ruled out like at the last second. Sometimes they go before the game, right, and they're pre-workout and they feel something's not right. It's tough, and it's tough playing road back to backs. You're on Minnesota to Denver, and they were taxed last night. Like it wasn't like they cruised to a win where the starters could say, and they're already pretty shorthanded without Paul and Cam Johnson. Like they're a deep team, but still the rotations. They're extending certain guys' minutes. So that is it. And that'll also, guys, be our show best bet is going to be the Nuggets. So make sure you guys lock that in as well.
Let's give the people one best bet in college basketball tonight, and then we'll end the show.
All right.
I'll start if you want.
Yeah, you kick us off.
All right. I'm going to do Houston, guys. I love Houston tonight. Arizona had a controversial win, to say the least, against TCU in their last matchup. Went into overtime. Arizona took over there, but I'm pretty sure the TCU point guard was fouled at the end. But I think the state of Texas gets revenge today. So Houston, one of the best teams, both offensively and defensively. I would say the most balanced team left in the tournament, sitting at 31-5 for the season, 24-12 against the spread. Elite defense. They give up less than 60 points, and if they can give Arizona, if they can D up Arizona, because Arizona is a powerhouse on offense. If they can hold Arizona to under 75, under 70 points, I think Houston's going to do enough to win.
All right, I'm going to go with Texas Tech and Duke. So I'm going to get my guns up here, AC. I'm going to give Texas some love. I've loved this team all season. Right, great defense,
Agreed.
Very sound defensively. Duke has not seen a team like this on the defensive end. The ACC. There's no great defensive team. Virginia's still pretty good defensively, but Tech is extremely physical. So I think they're going to be able to get into these Duke players. Look, Duke's obviously the more talented team. I think they're going to have 5 first-round picks. Tech is not as talented, right? But it's this time of year, the defense, what they can do defensively. They did it all game against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a very good offensive team. They really shut them down. They've shut down teams throughout the season. They went through that gauntlet in the Big 12. I think they're going to be well prepared for this game tonight. So, Coach K, it's time to hit the road.
Speaking of the Big 12, pour one out to Chris Beard and Texas. His previous school, Texas Tech, is winning with his players, basically with a no-name coach. So Texas sports, man, it's tough. It's tough being a Texas fan.
Being a Longhorns fan.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. We'll be back on Monday. Please, give us a DM, give us a shout. Let us know if you guys have any questions. At the very minimum, give 7 Stack Sports a follow. Let's get them to 10,000 followers this week. Thank you, everyone, and good luck on your bets. Thanks, Dad.
All right.